Welcome to Slicing Through the Noise, the show where we dive into the stories, ideas, and strategies that help you level up in business, leadership, and life. Here we bring thought-provoking guests, practical takeaways, and fresh perspectives on what it means to grow as a leader and as a person. Whether you're tuning in on your commute or from your favourite chair at home, we're here to spark new ideas and fuel your ambition. Let's get started. Yeah, A Leader's Story, the podcast that uncovers the real stories, those impactful stories that impacted your leadership style. And we're going to explore your experiences and how you cut through the chaos, how you built teams that are accountable and built cultures that drive your vision.
Yes. Right?
And whether someone's a seasoned executive that listens to this or whether they're a aspiring leader, then this is the place that they can come to grow and learn and mainly how to lead with integrity and not let go of what's important to you.
Yes.
So let's slice through the noise.
Okay.
So I thought what we would do is we would just, have a little chat about early life and all of that, So you were raised. So, I was looking at it and I'm thinking, I don't know why I didn't know that you come from a military family.
Yeah, that's it. It explains a lot about me, that's for sure.
As soon as I read that, I went, So tell us about growing up in a military family.
Oh, it was very interesting. An interesting dynamic between my mother and my father too. My father, I get that very much structure and discipline from that side. It was always, this is what you will do and, you have to do it. And you never talk back to dad or anything at any time. But I was fortunate that I was the second oldest son. My oldest brother went on to the military, so he had all the pressure on him to perform. So I came in behind him and no one really worried about me too much. But I was very much influenced by that whole structure with Dad at that stage. And so it was always, you never quit, you keep pushing, you're always striving to be better. Dad was never happy. Whatever you did, he was never happy.
He was never happy. Tell us about that. Is that where you get it from?
Oh, I think
grumpy bum.
It is. I have a lot of traits of my father. There's no doubt about it. And if I look at all my brothers and sisters, especially my brothers, you can see a lot of it in us. I honestly wonder how Mum and Dad ever got together because Mum was the complete opposite. She was like a free spirit and very entrepreneurial. She had real estate agencies and antique stores and everything. And she was the risk taker. She was always doing that, whereas Dad was the absolute opposite to that. So I wonder how they ever got to, when they met, how they actually, saw something in each other more than anything else. But
well, it's a good thing because all five of you survived it all.
We did survive it in many different ways, that's for sure. But yeah, look, it did have an initial impact on me. Probably the biggest problem for myself is I'm my own worst critic more than anything else, and I think that's been driven by that childhood is that, you can always do better sort of thing.
Yeah, there's that, and especially if you've had a strong disciplinarian family, it's like, oh, you did that? Great. Now what are you going to do?
Yeah, I know.
And it's actually this whole driven thing that we never quite make it. And I'm always interested in that conversation with people because I've definitely have lived that one.
Oh, look, yeah, there's no doubt about it that, for a long time I always thought that, how do I actually, where's the end point? What's the end game to reach as such anyway? And it was always something that it took me a long time to recognise that, hey, you're good enough as you are, so long as you're true to your, a lot of your own values, including integrity and things like that. And I think that's the important thing more than anything else. And there were many missteps I did in my career along the way that taught me lessons. And if I had that time again, I would do things differently. And most of the time when they occurred, they were things where I overstepped my own values or benchmarks that I had for myself. And,
Yeah. I think that is a great story for leaders. It's like when you're challenged, like that moment when you compromise on your values.
Yes. Very.
And it does you in every single time.
Yep.
And then you spend an enormous amount of time beating yourself up, cleaning up your mess.
Yes.
So can you give us an example of when you let go of something that was really important to you and later really, like gave yourself a hard time or took a long time to get over it?
Well, look, I'll tell you, and this is very well earlier on in my career, and I was actually a general manager of a business that was a reselling business at that stage, and it was owned by an overseas organisation. And I was asked to do something that I didn't necessarily agree with.
That's the one.
It is, and I thought about it, and I thought, no, I've got to do it because I'm being told to do it, even though it was overstepping or compromising, as you said before, the values that I'd set for myself. And I did it, and we as an organisation got found out about it, and then I was made the scapegoat for it. And so I left, and that took a long time for me to get over because I wish I'd stood my ground and said, no, that's not something I'm going to do, because at the end of the day, they may have said, well, if you're not going to do it, we'll get someone that's going to do that. And I may have left anyway.
Yes.
But I would have left on my own terms rather than, have this cloud over me as such anyway, both for myself but also people that weren't in the know of what went on exactly. So that, from a personal point of view, did have an impact on me for quite a while, but also from a career point of view, it was hanging around for a while too.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would use that against me in some cases too.
Well, they wouldn't know the background story.
No, and that's the thing. It's I think it's very important to know that as well too, because I think you're talking about slicing through the noise and all that and having conversations. I think we do have a preemptive idea of what this person is all about before you actually listen to the person. And I've got a great story, which was my boss who founded the business of Constellation Software.
Yeah. He's
a bit of an eccentric himself, worth an absolute fortune. But he dresses in jeans and black T-shirt, and that's about all. And in Sydney, probably 8-9 years ago, he said, I'll catch up with you for dinner. And I said, all right, well, it's the big boss, so I better book the best thing. So I got this 5-star restaurant on the harbour in Sydney to make sure, it was all the right thing. He turned up, and it was summer down there and very hot. He turned up in T-shirts and shorts and a pair of thongs in this 5-star restaurant. And he's got very long hair and a beard. So
he looks like a hobo.
He does. He looked like a hobo. And I still think the people in this restaurant thought I brought a homeless man in for a meal. And you should have seen the way they interacted with him versus me. And I was sitting there at the table at the time and thinking, if they only knew who was the one that actually could give them a big tip and who won't give them a big tip. But, it was just immediately they decided that that's, the person they should focus on is me, not him.
Yes.
And so I've learnt that over the years is to, not have that impression without knowing all the details in the person.
So it's like you've had that experience early on in your career of, compromising on something that you wouldn't want to do.
No.
And then also, when you join Constellation, the big boss comes in and he's eccentric.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't judge a book by its cover.
No. And look, he looks eccentric, but he's a very intelligent person and he's a very caring person too. I mean, he's very knowledgeable. The amount of things he remembers about me and my family is just, when he might only see me once or twice in a year, it's amazing. And he does that with everyone. I think that's one of the reasons why the organisation has done so well, is that he has set the culture quite well at the top level, and it's been maintained. So,
Well, he sets the tone.
He sets the tone. Yeah,
He's saying this is what's important.
Yeah.
This is how we behave.
Yeah.
And don't act like a twit.
Well, exactly, because, some people I've worked for is it's, take no prisoners type attitude, and I don't care what happens as such anyway. And we buy software businesses, and sometimes the owners that are selling to us are that way inclined too. I mean, I talk a lot about the fact that, we're a good home for people to leave their baby, their business.
Yes.
But I've met some people who couldn't care less if they sold the baby to the butcher. It's that's not of their interest,
That's a big deal.
Oh, it is. I mean, I've had situations where we bought businesses when the person that sold it to us has left, people have clapped and applauded us for buying the business because they got rid of that person, and that person had thought to themselves that I don't know how they're going to manage without me. Totally different
they'll all
views.
just manage just fine.
Oh, they were in this particular case. The one particular one was really surprising. But so I think you've really got to understand the people that you've got around you and the people that you interact with, because you will make bad decisions both in life and in business if you don't.
So playing team, growing teams, that also started when you played rugby at high level.
It did.
Tell us about how that's influenced how you lead, how you look at groups of people.
Look, I think it's very much, any team sport, and the rugby was one of them. I mean, I did do athletics too, but that's an individual sport more than a team sport. But rugby, it was all about working out how you can do things together to get to a certain position, say, on the field. And you each had a role to play in it, and everyone was rewarded for that result. And I think that was important to acknowledge a lot of what people do. You see it on TV, especially now. If you watch any rugby teams, they'll get somewhere on the thing, and everyone will go and clap or support or hug, one guy, and you think, what the hell did he do? He wasn't anywhere near it, but he obviously played some aspect that got them to a point where they could move forward.
Yeah.
So in business, I think that was the other thing that it gave that to me, the idea of, you got to sit there and work out the strategy, and the strategy involves how everyone's got a part to play in it, and acknowledge the efforts that everyone has, be it, small or large. I mean, you can have businesses that, the receptionist could have an important influence on the impact of, say, making a sale to a new client, because she welcomes that client really well when they walk in the door. It might be a small thing like that can make a difference to the overall outcome for the business.
Do receptionists still exist?
No, that's the other thing. I was going to. We don't have any anymore, but we have key people that are within the business, office managers and things like that. And it's interesting with all of that. I mean, the dynamics of businesses have changed a lot, especially over the last 5 or 10 years. COVID certainly upset the whole dynamics within a business quite a bit. So.
Well, I think it's just really it's turned business on its head, and it's also turned it upside down and inside out. And finding where we go now, I reckon we're still in the minefield.
Oh, it's very difficult. I mean, I was only talking about this yesterday to some people, with the remote working or working from home and all the rest of it. How do you build collaboration? How do you build learning when people aren't there? I mean, I know myself, I learnt a lot by observing what everyone else did around me. And, if you're sitting at home by yourself, you lose that capability.
Absolutely.
And how do people feel as though they belong to a group or the company if they're not ever there? It's a challenge for both businesses and management of businesses and the employees, is how do they work that way?
I think there's the words that came into my mind was come the revolution, right? People are going to get, hello, it actually doesn't work.
Yeah.
To have this constant remote working, because, especially in knowledge work bases, right? It's like the interflow of knowledge is the thing.
Yes.
Right? And if people are in different spaces, actually having a conversation with a screen with all these tiles up on it, I go, okay, like we do it in our business and we get together at least once a month as a group. And because we're remote workers and we're all over the country and we fly them in and we go, right, we're doing this. I'm with you. It's really messy right now.
It is. And we've done a similar thing too. With our senior leadership team, we used to do a lot of meetings, fortnightly or monthly, and a lot of it was remote and, online. And, I find those ones interesting because I never know where to look when you've got so many faces looking at you. But we've started doing that too. We're getting together at least once a quarter, face to face, just for that connection reasons than anything else. And I think it's an important facet. But, having been around business long enough too, I mean, the only constant is change. When I look at what's been going on throughout our business, which is in the IT industry, there's been a lot of change there. But there's been a lot of change in lots of businesses.
Yep.
And I remember doing a presentation, this goes back a long time now, about change and how technology can change things. And I did a whole presentation on the humble housewife at that stage. I can say that now, I hope.
Oh, you better be careful.
I know, you've got to be careful these days. Everything is. But I was saying that, a lot of people don't appreciate in the kitchen how much has changed from a technology point of view in a kitchen. So people that are stay-at-home people have actually experienced more technology change than people in the workplace. So,
absolutely.
And, people were amazed.
I love my gadgets.
Well, it is. I mean, it has changed a lot. When you walk into a kitchen now, you've got to have a lot of instructions and manuals and all that. I'm building a house at the moment and I've walked into the kitchen there and I go, I've got no idea what's going on in this kitchen. So I'll wait and see what happens. So,
yeah. You started as a teacher.
Yeah.
And here's one of the things, I think education keeps losing great people because why did you leave?
Well, look, I mean, I say to people all the time, I was very smart when I was younger, but as I get older and older, I got dumber and dumber because I finished senior at 15 and then I was doing teaching at 18. So I was teaching kids that were only 1 or 2 years younger than me. And I wasn't emotionally set up for it, equipped for that. And that's the thing that did me more than anything else. I mean, there were things that happened when I was teaching then that just threw me off. I mean, I went to an all-boys school, but then I was teaching at a co-ed school, so there were girls that were only 1 or 2 years younger than me.
Oh, they could be your girlfriend.
No, there was that challenge. I still remember getting frustrated too quickly with people who weren't learning because I'm going, why can't you learn this quickly? I was assuming everyone would learn or could learn at the same pace I could. And what made me leave, and this is a funny story that I've forgotten about and I haven't told too many people, I did actually teach at a blind and deaf school as well because a friend of mine grew up who was deaf, so I knew sign language and all that. And I was teaching in this class and 2 boys down the back kept signing each other. They were talking to each other and I kept turning around and I could see them. None of these kids could hear, okay? And they had their heads sideways, so they weren't looking at me. And so I actually threw a duster at them and hit one of them in the side of the head. It was a soft duster, by the way. Back then, I probably would have lost my job straight away for that. And at the top of my voice in this school that you don't hear anyone talking, I screamed out the top of my head, "Would you two just shut up?" And I turned around to the board and I'd completely lost it then. I thought, this is not for me, And so I decided not to continue.
So you haven't thrown dusters since then?
No, I haven't. And I think now I'd be a better teacher now. And I think you're right. I mean, I think there's a lot of teachers that leave, but I think there's a lot of opportunity for those mature age people to come in to be teachers because they've got that life experience.
Yeah. You could go back into education.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, who knows?
Who knows?
Who never knows? Look, I mean, I'm very much a proponent of, when one door opens or one door shuts, many others can open and you just got to choose which door to go through. And I think that's very true. I mean, a lot of people, when a door shuts, they focus so much on that door that's shut that they miss the opportunities that come before them. And, it's one of the things that I always do. I never look back.
Yes.
It's not one,
Well, I think,
except for reflection.
yeah, I think it's good to reflect. And reflection's about the learning that we got, good, bad, ugly.
Yes,
Right?
for sure.
And if we can do that, then we learn.
Yes.
And we take something new
Yes.
to our next experience. So let's just talk about some of the stuff that you've done to drive business. So you've owned businesses, you grew them, you sold out. Well, you didn't sell out, but you sold them.
I sold them, yeah. Some people will think I sold out.
Some of them would say, really left us. So, like when you think about going from, so you leave teaching, you go into sales, and you also re-educate yourself and become an accountant, one of those people that we think is boring, and yet you actually take accounting and sales and you drive it.
Yes.
That's an unusual combination, by the way.
It was. I mean, look, all around that time it was really unusual. I mean, my parents, for starters, thought I was never going to get set on anything. I took up accounting, and when I started studying at uni, I still remember my first lecturer asked me, at the end of the first lecture I had on accounting, they were talking about debits and credits, and I went down, I said to him, I don't understand all of this. And he goes, why would you not understand it? It's basic stuff you would have learnt at school. And I said, why would I have learnt it at school? And he said to me, well, what did you study at school? I said, I did 2 languages, 2 maths and 2 sciences. And I still remember him saying to me, he said, well, what are you doing in this class? And I was very much a smart ass, not that I'm not a smart ass still, but I said to him, I'm here to learn. And he goes, you're going to fail this class. And I said, I'm going to top this class, because it just gave me a thing to target. And we got on quite well the whole time I was through uni. And yes, I did top that class eventually, but I spent a lot of nights learning stuff and catching up on things. But, a lot of times where I've stepped into different things, it's just, seemed to have happened because I got into accounting, did accounting firms, working, doing audits and things like that. And a chance conversation with someone who said that they were going to start up a computer company. It was a lot of hardware back then. And I said, oh, that's a good idea. And he said, look, I'm looking for a partner. Would you be interested? And I said, yes. And so 2 weeks later, I quit that job to start this IT company up with no plan that was what I was always planning to do. So then I had to learn how to do sales, because then I had to convince people that,
that they should buy this.
That you should buy this stuff. So I went from one side to the other. The good thing is it helped me I knew numbers very well. And I think it's important in business that you do understand what the numbers are telling you, because if you don't, then you're not going to be able to build the business or lead the people well. And, and that's how it went more than anything else. And
so I love what you just said. To build business, you got to understand the numbers.
yes,
So I love looking at P&Ls, and people go, why? And I go, because they tell a story.
they do.
They tell a story. And whenever I see blowouts or something that's not working, I go, who's not talking to who around here?
Exactly.
So you've got to tell the story.
We do. And we have within our businesses, we have a lot of metrics that we have. And, as I say to people, these things aren't going to make you more successful, but they're going to give you guideposts as to what's not right and, what you need to do. And you were asking before about something that, with business, I think it's always a learning experience more than anything else. And I think it's interesting that, anything we do, whether it's in personal life or in business, there's only 2 outcomes. You're successful or you fail, and if you do either one of those things, you can learn from either. If it is a success, well, why was it a success? Was it because of something you did, or just dumbass luck, or, circumstances or whatever? And if it failed, was it because you didn't do your research, or the market changed when you weren't expecting it to change and all that? So there's always something you can learn. And for any of my staff, and I think you talked before about, how do you lead people and all the rest of it, I don't mind if people make mistakes. it's if they keep making the same mistake over and over again, that's the problem. It's,
Well, that's a real problem, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And
it's
if they're
like,
not learning, they're not learning.
Yeah.
I had one when I was doing the accounting side of things. I was in the short-term money market. This young girl cost us $250,000. She came into my office. She was crying, and she thought, "Oh, I'm going to get sacked." And I said, "Why would I sack you?" And she goes, "Well, I've just lost this money." And I said, did you work out why you'd lost the money? And I knew, and I said to her, our systems and processes weren't strong enough to stop you from doing that. Yes, you've made a mistake, but we're just as culpable in that as well. And she said, "So I'm not getting sacked?" I said, "No, we've just paid $250,000 to educate you." I said, "And so you can stay and go out there and show us how it's done." And she was one of my best employees for many, many years with that. I could have got rid of her, but we would have lost someone that was very devoted, very not capable and all the rest of it, and had made an innocent mistake versus did it deliberately. So you've got to be mindful
that whole
of that.
Thing, hey? It's like if someone is being a recalcitrant and makes a mistake and then doesn't own it.
Yes.
So it's all about the ownership of the mistake.
Yes.
Not about the mistake.
Yep.
And then what did you learn? And then will you ever do that again? No. Good. Then we're in business.
But you've got to have that culture within the business that allows people to feel strong enough to actually admit fault or that,
So how do you build a culture like that where people actually are willing to own their mistakes, bring it to whoever they need to bring it to? And in this case, it's you. You're the big boss. Right?
Yeah, in that particular case, yeah. Look, I mean, it's you've got to be open with people. I mean, I think as a leader of a business too, people have got to see you as a person, not just this rogue behind a desk. And I think that's the first thing. And I think you've got to also be shown that you are not infallible either. I mean, I make just as many mistakes as what most of the people in the business make. I mean, the problem for me is, if I make a mistake, it have much bigger consequences.
It's more than $250,000.
But I think that's the first thing that you've really got to do is that make sure people are aware that, it's that we like to nurture and look at what people are doing and be empathetic to everything that they do. And, it's something that we want to do. We're here all to learn. And, if you can do that, then the rest will fall into place.
Have you ever seen it where a mistake is made in organisations? And I know you've bought over 45 businesses and built this thing into this massive conglomerate now. And, it's like leaders who don't allow the culture to be one of you make mistakes, just don't risk the farm. Like everyone in business makes mistakes.
They do.
And, I always just say to my people, just be really careful. Don't risk the whole farm, please. Right? Don't make promises that we definitely cannot keep.
Oh, look, I mean, it's definitely, you've got to, to a lot of extent, under promise and over deliver is also a success. I mean, when you've got competing environments that you're working in, that's difficult sometimes because people can actually overcommit, and that they're never going to be able to deliver, but you're not going to try to match them because it's the wrong thing to do.
Yep.
And, at the end of the day, I talk about with employees, and it equally applies to clients, but employees, that I want people that we will add value to them and they will add value to our business. And after whatever time period, 3 years or whatever it is, if they leave for whatever reason or we part ways for whatever reason, I want people to be able to say that was a great journey, on both sides. And it equally applies with our customers too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to keep customers forever.
Yes.
And we have some long-term customers, but we have customers that choose not to stay. But at least if they leave for the right reason, or not the right reasons, on good terms, then, it's the best outcome you can have. So you've got to have that environment that allows people to flourish as much as possible. And
that whole leaving piece, it's like, can you leave well?
Yeah. Oh, you don't burn bridges. I mean, I've got another funny story with a reseller that back in the early days who went to a competitor of ours, really stuck it up us about that I'm going to be great and wonderful and all that. What that person didn't know is we were buying that competitor up. And 2 months later, we bought that competitor up. And I must admit, and it's a learning lesson for me because I didn't treat him well. I walked in, I said, yeah, we've bought this now. He goes, great, we'll be working again together. And I said, no, your contract's cancelled. And I walked out the door and I thought I did not treat him right. Even though he'd done wrong by me, if I had my time again, I would do it a bit better than that because
well, you could still say, no, we're not working together, but what are you going to learn from how you treated us?
Oh, exactly. And but I didn't do it. It was certainly very much a revenge decision.
So, when we do those kind of things, like it's one that stuck with you and you go, I'm not going to do that again. That was not a good look.
Well, yeah, it's not. And look, I've spent a lot of my time, especially in the later part of my career, understanding that, I'm going to make decisions that people don't agree with. But what I really want to do is help them to understand why I made the decision. And it might be a decision that's not good for them personally either, making someone redundant or something like that. But if they can understand the reasons why, all I want is if they can respect the reasons or the reasons why I made the decision, that's all I can hope for. If they respect it, then that's fine. And I can live with myself if that's the case. If, some people choose not to respect it, even though the information is plain to see that it was the right decision. But
it's hard, those ones.
Oh, and look, I've seen some leaders that try to be leading by popular, they want to be popular and that's all they want, and that's not good.
Popularism just drives me mad. I want you to like me.
Exactly.
Well, by the way, let's be real. We want people to like us.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you don't want to prostitute yourself for it.
No. And that's
a lot of leaders do that.
Yep.
And you've seen it.
I have. I mean, I think, the whole leadership thing is a lot of people think it's easy. I mean, a lot of people want my job all the time. And every time someone says, I'd like to have your job, I say, here it is, have it. Because they don't understand what it's all about. They see the outside parts of it, but not all the other ones. And as a person, I do have sleepless nights thinking about what's going on in the business and the effect and impact I'm having on the people within the business. And, people don't see that.
People have been sold some cock and bull story today about, how easy it is to grow and build a business and that anybody could be an entrepreneur and anybody can do this. Well, I often think about it, how many CEOs are there of Vela APAC? One.
Yeah.
You, right? And I often say to people, okay, there's only one. And yet there's, 1,000 people that work across the business?
Yep.
I go, okay, all 1,000 of you want that one job.
Yes.
So what does it take to actually be that kind of leader, right? And whether we like it or not, whether we want to admit it or not, there are sacrifices that you've made and things you've been willing to take on that other people don't want to do.
Yes.
Like you will have several sleepless nights on whether or not to make someone redundant, whether or not the time has come to fire someone. All of those things are grist for the mill, hey?
Yes.
And they are hard to do. I don't care what anyone tells us. No. So give us some of that, I know that you've taken this business and in the time period that I've known you, you've tripled its size.
Yes.
That's extraordinary in a 7-year period.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, it is. It is. And look, when I look back on it, I do get, surprised and humbled about it, but it's been a team effort. It hasn't been just mine. I think we've laid the right platform, the right sort of structure, as I talked about before, the culture to enable us to do that and make us attractive to people who want to become part or involved in the business, whether they're selling a company to us or people that want to come on board. So I think, that's an important fact that you've always really got to look at. And it's, people sort of say, a lot of times people talk to me and go, what's the secret? And I go, I don't think it's any real secret. It's to make good decisions that you can live with every day. I mean, I don't want to buy a business and if I'm going to screw over the person selling it or the people there, and be honest, I mean, when we buy a business, people say, is anything going to change? And I go, I would like to say nothing's going to change. It should be business as usual, hopefully business better than usual. But for that to happen, there could be individual things change within the business and they could adversely or positively affect you. I don't know enough about your business at the moment to know what way is going to happen. But some people come in and go, no, it's all going to be the same. It's all going to be sweet and lovely and wonderful and all the rest of it. And
So
then
they
it's
lie
not.
to people.
Oh, I don't know. Well, they probably do lie, but I think some people just have a view of, the most optimistic view of the world and, everything's going to be rosy and wonderful. I think it's, you've got to be open and honest with people about where it is and people will respect you for that.
So when you make decisions, like you've made like literally dozens of acquisitions, and you're buying software or service-based businesses, how do you decide that this one? And I know you have an acquisitions team, but obviously you've instilled in them and the business has a culture of this is what we're looking for.
Yep. We have certain attributes of businesses that we look for. We're looking for businesses that own their own software, been around, a mature business for a while, have a good customer base and all that. So there's those ones that we're there. And we buy businesses and don't sell them. So we're holding on forever. So the attribute we're really looking is, could we take this a lot further than that company could take itself on its own? And then, of course, this comes down to dollars and cents. How much are they willing to sell it for and how much are we willing to pay for it as such too? And, while we have bought many, many businesses, there's many businesses we have not bought because we haven't been able to get it over the line for all sorts of reasons, both either on their side or our side. And, we also do look at that non-quantifiable side of things is, would they fit within us as well? And that's probably more been developed in the recent years. I mean, got involved around integrity and values many years ago now, and it seems a lifetime ago now. But one of the things that I saw within the business was that we were very good at that quantifiable analytical side of things, but not looking at the other side of the coin for people. I mean, that emotional type needs that you have within a business and within the people. And, what struck a chord with me around the whole integrity and values side of things was it actually focused on that area, the soft skills, not the hard skills. And I think that was something that we hadn't done up until that stage. And I would like to think that having done all of that, it's enabled us to grow at the level that we've grown better than we would have if we hadn't done it.
So you made better choices because you were thinking two sides of this coin.
Yes.
I mean, you already were successful when you met us anyway.
Yeah,
so
we were.
All we did was add another string to your bow and go, okay, let's think about it. There's two sides to this coin, and if you can get both sides working in tandem, then you will make. There'll probably be some businesses that are extraordinary that you still say no to.
Oh, yeah, there are. There are ones that they just don't have the attributes that we're really looking for. I mean, before we were very much on the numbers side of things. If the numbers add up, let's just buy it. Now we're a little bit more focused in saying, hey, we want a business that numbers might make sense, but it also would fit in well with us, because as we get bigger and bigger, we need those people underneath us to be on board with what we're all about. And it's, and this is from a hiring people, I always hire people based on attitude, because you can teach them the technical skills or the knowledge or whatever else, but you can't teach them how to act. And it's similar with what we're doing with buying companies too, is to, are we getting the right sort of businesses that way? And,
attitude's everything.
Oh, attitude is everything. I mean, and culture is everything too, in my mind. I mean,
well, they go hand in hand.
They do. And people say, what's the most important thing about business? And I go, it's not strategy, it's culture, Well,
what's that saying? Culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Exactly. And it does, because, one of the things with our business, is it's constantly changing and there's lots of dynamics. We don't do 3-year business plans or anything like that. We are constantly just evolving our plans almost every quarter as such. So there's no, let's go and do this. I mean, people say, where do I think the business will be in 10 years' time? And I'll go, if it's not 3 to 4 times bigger than what it is, I'll be surprised. It's not a strategy. I just go, I think that's where we'll get to.
Yes.
The question is, how do we do that? I think we do that by doing what we've been doing well and keep going, and it'll just naturally happen.
Yeah.
And before we know it, that's what will occur.
So, like you've worked in that IT innovative space. What do you see for the future of, I mean, like it's huge at the moment.
It very much is. Look, I think I'm lucky. I got involved in IT at the right time. I mean, back then it was, all the PCs and everything like that. It was a very simple life. We thought it was very complicated back then. And as it's progressed more and more, it's getting more and more complicated. And I think it's a big challenge for anyone being in the IT industry now. I mean, because of what I do, I'm so far removed from the technology and the innovation side of things that, it scares me that I don't know enough about it. I mean, artificial intelligence is a big thing that's being talked about at the moment, and we constantly are looking at, the threats, the opportunities that are within that. Potentially people like yourself, if you've got good domain knowledge or industry knowledge about something, you could use artificial intelligence to create a program without you knowing a single bit of how to create code, to do it. And you could have it done by the end of the week. And it's scary.
You've just given me an idea.
Oh, don't worry. I have ideas. I have people coming to me with ideas all the time with it. But you've got to look at the commercial sense of all of those too. I mean, it's wonderful and all that. And we've had some instances where, people have created good little things quickly, but they've given up some of our intellectual property to be able to create that. For us as an organisation being bigger too, cybersecurity is becoming a bigger issue for us as well.
It's massive.
It's huge. It's I used to say, with a house, someone will break into your house regardless of what you do. It's just how much of a deterrent do you do? If you leave the front door open, they're going to come in pretty easily. But if you have bars on the windows and alarms and everything else like that, that still may not stop someone coming in.
Yes.
But they will choose their targets better. And so how do we actually make sure that from a cyber point of view, we become the ones...
You're not an enticing target.
Well, we are. And it's interesting, it has happened a few times, is that the businesses we bought in themselves aren't nice businesses for the cyber criminals to try to go after, because, the worst case they do is they could probably get someone's house or car or something like that. We buy them, and then they know that there's someone with deep pockets sitting behind that company, so they go after that company and then go after us. So
it's really like there's something about that whole scamming, all of that stuff, and I go, wow, you're such a genius. Why don't you put it to some good use?
Yeah. Oh, I think there are some very intelligent people in there. There's no doubt about it. And it's quite funny, some of the things that we get. But when we test our people with it, because we do have processes and structure in place, and it's interesting how quickly you can fool people.
Yes.
We did one just the other day that I sent out it pretended to be me, sent out a thing saying the first 5 people to reply and click on this link will get a gift card for $100. And we had 87% of people click on that. So, and we go, with all the education we've done, they can still be tempted. They can be tempted to unlock the door and say, come on in.
Yeah, whenever I see that, I just and some of them are getting very clever.
Oh, they are.
They're very clever. And I mean, that's your industry.
They do get very clever, but they also get there's some very dumb ones. I mean, the most interesting thing, because I'm the CEO and I've got a CFO, the number of emails that my CFO, Ben, gets from me asking me to transfer some money to somewhere is ridiculous. But the worst one I saw recently was I got an email from me to transfer some money to an account of mine because I needed it urgently. And I thought that person has not done their research because they're sending it to the same person as such anyway. But these are things that a lot of people in the role don't think about the role.
Yes.
There's all of those things, is that, you've got people, not only the businesses, but people's livelihoods that you always got in the back of your mind.
Well,
as well.
whenever you're leading, you've got other people's lives that you're directing.
Yes.
And so every decision you make affects them.
Yes.
And can you stay with, I could make a mistake here.
Yeah. Well, that's
could
the thing.
make a mistake. And so think twice before you make big decisions.
I agree totally. I mean, it's the old, the tradies, measure twice, cut once type
Yes.
rule. You've got to really do a lot of that. You've got to really go, what are the things that I'm not seeing with this decision? I try to get as much input from people as possible. At the end of the day, it's mine and any of the senior leaders' decision is their decision. They can't say, but you told me this or you told me that. You've got to have the best information possible. I mean, at the end of the day, if you can sit there comfortably and say, I made the best decision I had with the information I had available, and I gathered as much information as I possibly could, and I made the right decision. It could be totally the wrong decision, but at least you can sit there and say, with all the available information I had, that was the right decision to make.
Yeah.
So, and hindsight's wonderful. I say it to people all the time.
Everybody has 20/20 vision.
I say hindsight. I won't use the words here on this podcast, but I go, but hindsight is terrible because it's always right, So, and that's true. No one looks back and goes, that wasn't right,
And I think it's like when people should you should have done that. And I go, well, I would have if I knew.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't give me that in hindsight. You watched me do a disaster and said nothing.
Correct. That's one of the things we try to do is get people to speak up. I mean, like I was saying before with that culture and all the rest of it is that they feel safe enough to bring something up. I mean, there's been a lot of times where people won't say anything because, it's the boss, I don't want to say anything. I've probably got the opposite situation at my place. Too many people tell me too much of what I should be doing all the time. But but I value that. I value the thoughts and the opinions because it does. I want people to be challenged in their roles. I want them to challenge me and anyone else that they've got around them because I think that's an important way to grow. What happens
if they don't challenge each other?
I think we stagnate and then we fall behind and they fall behind as individuals too. And I think that's, they're doing themselves a disservice in that situation. I mean, it certainly is. I mean, we as an organisation could sit on our hands and go along quite well floating down the river, for a long time before we see the waterfall and then, watch out, then everyone panics rather than seeing and going, well, yeah, the water's nice and the current's getting faster. Why is the current getting faster, But, a lot of people do that, we're growing and, and all that and, what's coming around the corner. I'm probably one of the biggest pessimists myself. I always think when things are going well, what's going to come and smack me?
So would you say, like I think I'm always waiting for something to happen if it's all going swimmingly. I go, hang on a second, what did I miss? And what is going to come and bite me next?
Yep.
How do you as a leader educate your people? Because that's a mode of thinking. It's not that you're not going to enjoy the moment of your success.
Yeah.
So I said to someone the other day and they had this huge win and I said, fabulous, great, congratulations. Now what?
Yep. I do it too. And I'm been accused of it and been picked on quite a bit because, they go, we just got this big deal. And I go, great, that's fantastic. What are you going to do next?
And it's like people go, you're just so...
Can't we celebrate what we've got now? Yeah, okay, I'll give you 5 minutes.
I love that one. I just say, yeah, okay. So what? Now what?
Yeah. So, because I want them to be always not resting,
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny with me. I've got a whole lot of different sayings that people hear all the time. And
maybe it's because we're older.
Well, it is. And look, people look at me. I've got a young guy who, Sebastian said.
He is very young.
I constantly say things to him and he goes, can you explain that to me? And, just common sayings. But, when I say to people a lot is I say you can be on the right track, but if you sit down, the train will run you over,
That's so cool.
It is, but it's true.
It's true.
It's very
You'll
true.
sit here on this train track for as long as you like, and there's a train coming.
Yeah, and it's
going to take you out.
It's like the other one where, you can be going through a tunnel and you see the light at the end of the tunnel and people go, that's great. And I go, no, that could be the train coming at you. So, and it's all these ones that I do and people go, and look, they're ones that I've heard, but they're simple messages that people can understand.
It's all about, what I'm hearing in that is staying alert.
Yeah, it is.
Are you awake?
Yes. Oh, yes. If you're not awake at the wheel, you're in big trouble.
Yes.
But that's the thing. I mean, I think it's a constant thing that we can always be better.
Yes.
And I think we have a lot of people that do want to achieve more. And I ask people, like, what's your goal?
Yes.
What's your goal of doing this job? What's your goal doing things? Why do it? Why do it here? What's why do you think here is better for you than somewhere else? They get worried when I get into those conversations that I'm going to get rid of them.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't think about where they want to be. And, another of my sayings, and you'll love this, and it's not me, but it's out of Alice in Wonderland. Alice gets to a fork in the road and the Cheshire Cat's in the tree. And she asks the Cheshire Cat, which way should I go? And the cat says to Alice, well, where do you want to go? And she goes, I don't know. And he goes, well, any path will take you there. And it's very true. A lot of people are like that. They're led to a situation, then they can bemoan the situation because it's not where they want it to be because they haven't thought about what they wanted to do themselves.
So that unwillingness to actually take on your own direction and then go, this is what I want and this is how it's going to look and I will make it happen. So it doesn't matter what you want.
No.
If you don't decide how it will look and take the action to make it happen, well, let's all just go home.
Yeah. I mean, look, a lot of these meditators and all those sort of life coaches and all that, they talk about that sort of stuff too as they go, imagine where you want to be in 10 years' time and then, how are you going to get there? A lot of people don't do that and we can get all caught up in our lives too much. I mean, I myself, I was a single father of 3 kids and, I was just keeping my head above water for so long, not thinking about where I was going to go more than anything else. But at the time, that was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, constantly are looking for other people to take them where they want to go.
Yes.
And they've got to be clear in their messaging and desires.
So, it's like being a single father, raising the girls, doing all of that stuff, and they've done really well in their lives,
Yes,
right?
they have. Despite their father.
Despite their father. Well, I think, my children are done really well despite their mother.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, I did the best I could at the time. Is leadership no different to that?
Oh, it is. It is. At the end of the day, my kids are in their mid-20s now and I just, they're getting on there with their lives and all that. I just sit there and go, I hope I taught them enough to give them the ability to make sound decisions. If I've done that, I've done my job in that respect, nothing more than that. Although, I've got 3 daughters and someone once told me you're lucky to have 3 daughters and because they'll always hug you for life. And I said, those people obviously have never had teenage daughters because I was publicly enemy number 1 back then. Yeah, it is. It is. It's the same thing. I mean, I think you've got to be responsible for your own destiny and outcomes. And, people don't look at that often enough. You got to constantly question what you're doing today to get to where you want to go tomorrow. And
So if you look at your whole, it's a huge conglomerate now, and if there was a message that you sent to your team, that would be a really powerful one. You decide.
Yeah, and I think, you've got to, you talked before at the start about, slicing through the noise. I think you've got to be curious all the time. I think if you're not curious, you're not learning. You're not engaging with people. You're not doing all of those things. And I think that's one of the things I've always been. I've always been a curious person. I mean, people used to laugh at me. I mean, I'm telling too much of my own little childhood here at the moment.
No, it's great.
And this goes back.
Well, it actually formed you.
It did. I used to, Mum and Dad had a set of Encyclopedia Britannica, and I would read those all the time. I would grab one book and just read. And my brothers and sisters go, "Why are you doing that?" And I go, "I just want to know about things." And I think that was where my curiosity started. I was always, if something's not working, I'd like to know why it's not working. I mean, maybe I should have become a mechanic or something. Who knows? It would have been wonderful. But that way. But I think, if you've got that ability to be curious, I think you learn a lot more than just sit back. And I think, curiosity is a good trait to have in all sorts of facets.
It's really interesting, like reading the Encyclopedia Britannica. As a child, I remember my parents buying a set of Britannica. I used to spend hours just reading things.
Yeah.
I loved them.
Yeah.
And I never saw my brother or my sister even look at them. But I'd come home from school and be,
yep.
And then my dad took me to the library when I was about 10 or 12 and introduced me to books.
Yeah.
And then my brother and sister didn't want to have books. And guess what? I took their 3 library cards and I got 9 books out every fortnight because I had their 3 cards and my 3 cards. So I would leave the library with this stack of books.
Yeah.
And then I got my mother to join the library and I got, her.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. I mean, look, I think reading books is a good thing for people to develop. I think, if you look at the most successful people in the world, they're very good at doing that. They'll read books. Whether it's these days, whether it's reading or listening to books these days, it's a thing. I still keep doing that. I mean, one of the advantages with the audio books these days is you pretty much can do it anywhere, anytime.
It's
and
wonderful.
And again, you pick up bits and pieces of nuggets and all the rest of it. But if you look back through history of the people that have been more successful, they've been reading books. And why are they reading books? Because I think they were curious.
Yeah.
Well,
and also when you read, if you think about, like for me, when I read and I feel like I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. I've also read so much now that I know when a book is full of nonsense. And I will just, give it a bad review and go do your homework.
Yeah.
Half the stuff you're sprouting is psychobabble. Can we not do that, please?
Yeah. And it is a challenge these days in this, highly, technical ability. People can do disinformation and information so easily and disperse it everywhere at the moment. And so it's hard to cut through what is real and what's not real. I mean, we talked about artificial intelligence before, and I said artificial intelligence is still just a collection of information that it's gained. And I showed in a closed loop group with people, I said, let's all start inputting that 1 + 1 = 3 into this tool.
Yeah.
I said, then we got someone coming in and we got them to actually say, can you ask artificial intelligence what's 1 + 1? And it came back and said 3. And they said, that's wrong. I said, is it? The environment that artificial intelligence tool has been listening to, 3 is the correct answer.
Yeah.
So we've got to be careful what we hear and see all the time.
This is my belief, right? You can't replace our ability to do that kind of thinking.
No.
And go, hello, that's actually not true.
No. It's and it's going to get more difficult. You've got this deep fake sort of technology now too. We were talking about this yesterday, the day before. People, the whole COVID thing and doing remotely and online has been good, but now there's a lot of that deep fake technology out there. Is it going to lead people back to say, no, I want to see the person in person? Because I don't know if who I'm seeing on that screen is actually the person that is, that one too. So,
that deep fake stuff, it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
it's like, I don't think so. You don't get to treat me like that.
Yeah. And so, it's another challenge for us in the IT industry. Will that shift the path back another way? And, and it was really, pondering our naval type stuff that we were sort of talking about and going,
well that's the last stuff you love.
Oh, it is. Look, I remember all sorts of things. I mean, I remember technology where they had a fridge, a smart fridge, which when the milk ran out, it would order from the grocery store and be delivered for you. And I remember at the time saying, well, you've never lived in a family, because my kids never put the milk back in the fridge. So I'd end up having 16 gallons of milk because no one's ever put it back in the fridge. And they were those people that were talking about, they hadn't thought about that human impact,
Yes.
of behaviour.
Yes.
Because they were assuming that everyone that took the milk out of the fridge would put the container back in if there was still milk left in it.
And you could take that straight back to business. Like some people will do something and they don't fix this over here in your business, and you end up with 16 gallons of milk when you only wanted one.
Exactly. Oh, it's a challenge at all times. So, I mean, look, a lot of people have asked me why I've kept doing what I do, and I go, because the thing that I like about it is every day is different. It's not, and that doesn't fit everyone. Some people, they just want to come in, do their work, go home. They just want it always to be the same, day in, day out.
And they like that.
And that's good on them for that. But
And we also need people like that.
oh, we do, definitely.
Because you and I are just too scattered all over the joint.
For sure. I couldn't sit still long enough. My kids call me Mr. Activity Man because I can't sit still. So
it's like we want those people that actually are able to do this one thing and do it really, really, really well. And they execute at a level that we never can.
Yep.
Like I have an idea, you have an idea, and you go, someone else has to execute on it.
Oh, for sure. And, you were talking about team sports and rugby before. I think gridiron over in America is like chess on a playing field. If you ever watch that, those people are trained just to do one thing. Some of them, all you've got to do is get up and grab that guy. That's your whole job for the whole game. Nothing else, you know. But it's an important aspect of doing that, allows them to do other things around the thing. And within business, it's the same thing. We want these people to do these things over and over again because that's an important facet for the success of the business. What we've got to make sure we challenge ourselves as leaders is, how do you recognise and acknowledge that their contribution is just as important as, say, the salesperson who walks in the door saying, here's my $1 million sale I've just made. That salesperson didn't do it on his own.
And that's probably one of the biggest things when we've individualised people so much, and when you work remotely, you don't see what other people do that add value to what you're doing. Yeah. Like I sit here running this podcast, and I'm absolutely clear that I'm only as good as the people who back me.
Yes. Oh, for sure. I'm the public face of a team and an engine that runs well.
Yes.
It's not me doing the peddling, and that's the thing that I try to make sure I do in my own way, and I'm expecting my immediate team members underneath me that report to me to have a similar thing, because at the end of the day, we're growing and we'll be successful if we keep duplicating those success factors.
Yep.
If we change them, then things will go off the course as such anyway.
So let's just wrap up. You've had enormous, extensive experience in digital transformation, business software, and where do you see the greatest opportunities in the next few years? And how should leaders prepare for those changes?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, actually. The challenges I see going forward, I mean, we've got an ageing population, so that's going to change the dynamics a lot, especially in this region in Australia. And how do we cope with that? I think technology is going to get more and more invasive in all of our lives. I mean, I think people don't realise just how much technology is around us all the time. And I think that's going to be the thing. How do you actually have keep people connected, not connected to all the technology, but connected to themselves and connected to the community around them? And that's going to be, I think, a challenge because, they've talked about, say, ageing population where people can stay at home more because, medical treatments are better and all that. I go, that's great, but then they're more isolated than what they used to be. So how do we take care of that? And in the workplace, it's a similar sort of thing. I think people are getting more and more isolated in the workplace. How do we ensure that people stay connected. And I think the only way you do that is to ensure that you actually still do regular catch-up meetings, conversations with people face-to-face or on the telephone and all the rest of it, because it's easy to go, I'll just send that person an email and see how they are. And, you send them an email and say, how are you? And they go, great. And they go, good. Okay, I've done that thing. They're okay. And then that person leaves or is dissatisfied for whatever reason. So I think, it's how to keep that human connection is going further and further. I mean, I'm not ready to be a cyborg yet. So,
Me neither.
But I think that's a challenge for everyone is to how to do it, how to have trust in machines and what we do. I mean, I'll tell you another quick story before we finish. My daughter, who's now a teacher, was showing me an AI tool. This is a couple of years ago, ChatGPT, when it first came out. She was using it to do lesson plans, and she was showing me, and I said, well, how's it all work? And she goes, well, I got to do a lesson tomorrow on the 5 stages of a frog, I think it was, or something like that. And so she typed it in, and this thing came back with all the lesson plans, all the materials she needed, the resources and what she had to do. And I said, aren't you worried that this is just going to replace you over time? And she goes, I am a little bit. And I said, so what are you doing about it? And she said, well, every time it does something for me, I say thank you, because when it takes over, it'll remember I was nice to it. I know.
I remember to say thank you to ChatGPT.
But
you want to tell her that I've taught it to say 1 + 1 = 3.
I know, that's the thing, and we did discuss that a little bit. But what she said is it's taken away a lot of the mundane stuff for her, so she can focus on how she adds value and focus on the kids' education or the kids she's teaching. So she really recognised that I could take one aspect of away that was a repetitive thing that wasn't really adding value to what she was trying to do, to allow her to focus on more of that. Personally, I know her well enough. She was so lazy that it saved her time more than anything else. But she did come up with a good excuse. But
how would leaders use it though? Like, how do you use it effectively?
I think I don't have an answer on that.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, I think it's a challenge that we're constantly looking at it and going, all of us want to do more with less as leaders. And the problem is, how do we do it in a way that is actually will work well? Because, I've never been one to be afraid of, doing so much that I'm working my way out of a job. I mean, if I've worked my way out of a job, I've done a good thing. Because, if I'm trying to make everyone dependent on me, then the business or the people are not going to be successful around me. And so I try not to be that focused more than anything else. But, technology is going to keep going. I mean, we all think that technology is changing. The rate of change is increasing. There's no doubt about it. But you look at the last 50 or 100 years, what's changed as such. I mean, it's only been just over 100 years now since the first flight of a plane occurred. Look what's happened in that time, So who knows what's coming? I think we're all going to be in awe as such anyway of what happens.
So thank you, Ian.
No problem. Thanks, Jennifer.
You've sliced through a lot of noise today, and some of the things that you've said are really going to make a difference in some leaders' lives. I'm really grateful for you being here, and I'm sure we'll keep visiting with you and seeing how your life goes and how leadership goes for you. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast, the place where we bring you insights, inspiration, and fresh perspectives on leadership, business, and personal growth. If you enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. We'll be back soon with more transformative discussions. Until then, keep exploring, keep challenging yourself, and keep moving forward.